This 17 News at Noon podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for 17 News at Noon. I'm Nicole Gitsky. Well, it's been over 150 days since the assault on the U.S. Capitol by a pro-Trump mob, an attack that left 5 people dead and hundreds injured. Now, a new report from 2 Senate committees is delivering a devastating assessment of what went wrong on January 6th, pointing to a security and intelligence collapse. Still, the report stops short of examining former President Trump's role in inciting the attack. NBC's Hallie Jackson reports.
A new devastating view of the deadly insurrection on January 6th. A bipartisan Senate report blaming intelligence and security failures at every level before and during the Capitol breach.
The crowd is using munitions against us. They have bear spray in the crowd. Bear spray in the crowd.
Despite online calls for violence at the Capitol ahead of January 6th, the report says that neither the FBI nor the Department of Homeland Security issued a threat assessment or intelligence bulletin warning law enforcement of possible violence. And the report says while the Capitol Police's Intelligence Division was aware of the threats of violence, that critical information was not shared with Capitol Police's own officers and other law enforcement partners. The report finds the Capitol Police had no plan in place to prevent or respond to security threats that day, and that the force's leadership failed to provide frontline officers with effective protective equipment or training. Quoting rank-and-file officers, one saying, "I felt like I was alone." Another recounting a lieutenant repeatedly asking over the radio, "Does anybody have a plan?" The investigation noting that of the 7 civil disturbance units deployed to respond that day, only 4 had the needed protection, and some of that equipment was locked in a bus. Officer Daniel Hodges was pinned to a doorway by rioters.
They ripped my mask off, stole my equipment, beat me up, sprayed me with everything.
Communications between Capitol Police officers were chaotic, sporadic, and according to many frontline officers, non-existent, according to the report.
Multiple law enforcement entries. DSO, get up there. They breached the scaffold. Like Macron, no, they have breached the scaffold. They're behind our lines.
Federal prosecutors now say they expect to charge at least 550 people in the riot, with 490 already charged. One rioter, Landon Copeland, has been charged with assaulting police but has not yet entered a plea, telling NBC's Washington, D.C. affiliate in a jailhouse interview.
I don't regret being there. The idea was to confront our lawmakers.
Taking a look around the world, Vice President Kamala Harris is closing out her first foreign trip today with a visit to Mexico. She's meeting with Mexico's president, a key but complicated ally in the Biden administration's efforts to curb the spike in migration at the U.S. border. This trip is intended to try to address the root causes of violence, corruption, and poverty in the Northern Triangle, specifically that the vice president has had a very clear message to people considering this treacherous journey. Do not come. Instead, pursue legal avenues to immigration. Well, a widespread internet outage took out several high-traffic websites, including the New York Times, CNN, Twitch, Reddit, and the UK government's homepage. San Francisco-based cloud company Fastly acknowledged the problem just before 3 a.m. It said in repeated updates on its website that it was continuing to investigate the issue. Fastly says the issue has now been resolved and the sites are back up and running. Well, we now know the name of a person killed in a crash on the Grapevine last week. CHP says the crash happened just after Grapevine Road off Interstate 5 at Fort Tejon last Wednesday. They say the car veered off the road, causing the vehicle to overturn. 38-year-old Jose Israel Gomez Salas was pronounced dead at the scene. The coroner's office is working to determine how he died. The person who died yesterday in a car crash has been identified. It happened just before midnight Monday night. At one point, all lanes of the 58 were closed because of the crash. CHP says this started when an officer tried to stop a vehicle when the driver allegedly tried to run over the officer. The vehicle then took off through Tehachapi, driving the wrong direction on Highway 58. The vehicle then crashed with a car heading eastbound. Both drivers were taken to the hospital with major injuries. The passenger in the vehicle hit 62-year-old Cherie Lee Fishgolden, died at the scene. Well, new at noon, this year's Village Fest has been canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, organizers have announced. Due to safety concerns and a lack of time to adequately prepare for the festival, the Children's Advocates Resource Endowment Board of Trustees decided the best course of action would be to take another year off and to plan for a comeback in 2022. The annual event is usually held the first Saturday after Labor Day in September and raises money to award grants to local nonprofit groups that serve children. It draws thousands of attendees and features samples from dozens of breweries, wineries, and restaurants. Since 1999, more than $1.2 million has been generated for local charities, according to Jim Luff, the president of CARE. Organizers can still apply for grants through October 1st for the 2021 calendar year. If you would like to apply or donate to a local charity, head to our website, kget.com. Now we are checking out the latest numbers here in Kern County. Public Health reporting 61 new cases and 1 new death today. Nearly 1,400 people have died from the virus in Kern County. The state reports 38 people are in the hospital with the virus and just 5 people are being treated in the ICU. Well, Kern County remains in the orange tier for coronavirus restrictions, even as the state prepares to retire the tier system next week. 1 week from today, the state will cease to use the blueprinting for a safer economy. Public Health says every day life will feel a lot like it did before the pandemic, with most places returning to usual operation without capacity limits or social distancing. The only exception will be for mega events defined as indoor and with more than 5,000 people. Those types of events will require attendees to verify that they are fully vaccinated or to show a negative COVID-19 test. These requirements will remain in effect until at least October 1st. Well, the push continues to get more people who live in Kern County vaccinated against coronavirus. Adventist Health is teaming up with Public Health for a free vaccination clinic this weekend. It's happening Sunday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Rosedale Middle School gym. Anyone 12 and older is eligible for the Pfizer vaccine, but 12 to 15-year-olds must be accompanied by a parent or guardian. Follow-up doses will be scheduled for July 11th. Walk-ups are welcome.
Clínica Sierra Vista is now offering rapid COVID-19 testing and COVID-19 vaccinations. Call 833-278-4584 to make your appointment. But don't delay. Clínica Sierra Vista, putting patients first.
Taking a look around town, Kern Medical has announced the winners of this year's Southern San Joaquin Valley Research Forum. First place went to pharmacy resident Rachel Gonsma of Kern Medical, while second and third place went to Dr. Rumpim Sharma of Kern Medical. Now, the forum included more than 60 case studies and research projects from the hospital, Cal State Bakersfield, and the Rio Bravo Family Medicine Residency Program. Well, the California Aeronautical University and Golden Age Flight Museum are teaming up to conduct a flyover throughout Bakersfield on Friday in honor of Flag Day. The flyover is set to take off at noon from Meadows Field Airport. The last stop in the flyover route is Panorama Park in Northeast Bakersfield. The flyover is leading up to the annual flag ceremony on Monday at Greenlaw Cemetery. And if you have a flag you want to get rid of, you can still participate in our annual flag drive. The Veterans of Foreign Wars is collecting old American flags that need to be disposed of in a safe and dignified way. We're accepting donations now through next Sunday, which is June 13th. Then on June 14th, Flag Day, the Veterans of Foreign War will host a special flag disposal ceremony. In education news, over 100 Kern County high school students are set to graduate with not 1 degree, but 2. That's because of the Bakersfield College program. When the students walk across the stage to get their high school diplomas, they'll also get their associate's degree. BC says 102 high school graduates have earned the degree through their early college program. Those students come from schools in Wasco, Delano, and Arvin. And students from nearly 24 Kern County high schools will turn their tassels this week toward their future. Tonight, a majority of students will walk across the stage to receive their diploma. The first ceremony is set for 5 p.m. at Kern Valley High School's football stadium, with the bulk of graduations at 7 tonight at North High, Highland High, Frontier High, and East Bakersfield High. Now, for a full list of graduations, head to our website, kget.com. Well, the Kern High School District is looking for the public's input on how to change the school's boundaries with a new high school in the works. Changes will need to be made ahead of the opening of the Del Oro High School. The new boundaries will go into effect in August of 2022 once the school officially opens. Those meetings will take place next Tuesday, the 15th, followed by the 22nd and the 29th. Head to kernhigh.org for more information. The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.